Hey guys, Ark here, bringing to you Chapter 1, Episode 9 of my Learning Night Elf series. This episode we're going to be using to cover micro and macro. So these concepts are concepts that will get used throughout your Warcraft time playing Warcraft 3. They'll never go away. The more games you play, you'll use more and more tricks and learn more and more tricks to kind of improve, keep your micro and macro on target. So this episode is kind of going to go through a couple, just a quick introduction of what micro is, as well as a couple tips for how you can manage your macro as you get into the game. The basic idea of micro is controlling your units to deal as much damage as they can while taking as little damage at the same time. So essentially, if you just watch this demon hunter killing this archer, it's going to be relatively quick. The idea behind micro is if you could have kept that archer alive, now maybe it took 100 damage or so, but if you kept that archer alive, it's going to live and it can deal damage either in a future battle or in that it can rejoin that battle and deal damage again. So the longer you can keep your units alive essentially means that you are going to be dealing more damage overall with that individual unit. So let's watch the same archer again as it's taking damage. So now I'm moving the archer away. So effectively what I'm doing is now not only does the Demon Hunter's attack play a role, another thing that will play a role in how much damage it will be doing is its movement speed. So effectively the archer movement speed is fast enough that it can it'll be able to outrun the Demon Hunter enough that it can get back to his main base and not die. So then I can heal with Moonwells or something like that. Another trick that you can use, so let's say I'm against Blade Master and Grunts or something. So maybe I know that I'm not going to be able to get that archer back to my base in time, or at least outside of the range of my opponent's armies. So one thing I can do, so I have this line of archers here. One thing I can do is utilize this line of archers to kind of act as a shield or a tree or some other building that I can maneuver my archer around to minimize the amount of damage I take. So if it was in the open ground, this archer that I'm going to try and attack here might take a lot more damage. But if I'm forcing my opponent to run around this wall here, I can essentially minimize how much damage that I might be able to take. So here I'm just going to start running around the archer wall with another archer. And this is a good example of what a more in-depth advanced micro trick could look like. So for instance, I'm running this archer around, and now I'm going to start blocking with this other archer. So now my hero has to run around this full HP archer or start attacking the full HP archer if I want to go after this low HP archer again. So that's an example of how your micro tricks or your micro can improve as you get a little bit better. As you get faster, you can do tricks like that with a little bit more confidence and a little bit more speed, and potentially save these units where a player that's not as good with micro would have lost his entire army there. So that pretty much does it for micro for now. We'll probably touch on this in later episodes. I'm going to jump right into macro. So one trick that I use personally to help me determine or help me keep my macro in check. So essentially macro is, at least the way I think about it, is you can always or using your resources effectively. So for instance, right now I've got 2,000 gold, 600 wood, 34 out of 40 wood. So I'm not really using it effectively. But I haven't really been paying attention to my macro either. So one thing I like to do is whenever I get to a point in the game where I don't have to pay attention to my army, for instance while I'm creeping, I always do a quick check of my resources. That includes gold, wood, lumber, potentially even Moonwell resources as well, depending on how the game is going or where I'm at, if I need to keep a constant check on that. So for instance, I'm going to go ahead and start creeping this camp right here. And then right here, you can tell nothing is really going to matter. I might be able to move my Demon Hunter back a little bit to minimize some damage from that Null Overseer, but I really don't need to pay a whole lot of attention to this. So during that time, I can scan and say, oh, crap, I'm at 34 out of 40 wood. So I'm going to go back to my base, build a Moonwell. So essentially now I know in about a minute's time, I'll be able to start building units again. So let's go ahead and get myself up to 40 out of 40 wood, or food. The other thing that you can do is you can see that, oh crap, I have a lot of gold and a lot of lumber. I need to start spending it. Well, now I need to check my resources of how many wisps I have on wood, and I can tell, okay, I do not have enough wisps on lumber to confidently get into tier 2 with enough lumber for tier 2 buildings. So that might make me change my mind about upgrading my Tree of Ages, but for this purposes, we'll just go ahead and upgrade the Tree of Ages. So we're at the same position right now where I'm about to creep a camp, and I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to do this quick scan of my base, my gold, my wood, my food. See, okay, I have a moonwell coming up. I don't really necessarily need to worry about it, but I know I have a ton of resources, so I'm going to be supply blocked again here pretty soon. Now, that means for right now, I'm just going to go ahead and build another moonwell and know that I'll be safe to continue on with my army.
Our warriors have engaged
So that's a kind of a concept that I use quite regularly, and I think it's a good idea to try and apply that. Now, the faster you get at playing the game means that you'll be able to do these checks very quickly, and oftentimes I don't take my eyes away from my army for a long period of time, because you never know when you're going to get creep jacked. You have to pay close enough attention that you can still keep your units safe and not lose the game. So the faster you get at, the quicker you can do these checks, and also pay attention to your army at the same time and do whatever micro you have to do accordingly. So with that said, that's going to bring a close to Chapter 1, Episode 9.